Hey, how's it going? Happy Tuesday, my IT friends. So, I want to carry a theme that I brought up in a few videos, and yesterday, my friend Megan Killian from MKC made a fantastically energetic post about. And it's this concept of abdication versus delegation. And I've made videos about how that affects outsourcing. You don't want to hear that today. And Megan did a really interesting video yesterday that I'll link to about abdicating sort of your brand identity and your marketing posture to someone else and why that probably doesn't work too well. And so I won't make a video on that either because she already made a great one. Instead, what I want to talk about, so this concept that we know that when you start a small business, let's back up a second here. So for anybody who hangs out on RMSP, one of the things you probably noticed is that 4 or 5 times at least a week, someone new will post, I'm thinking of starting an MSP, or I've just started my MSP, or whatever. I'm starting an MSP, somehow asking for general advice. And there will be a mixture of some genuine advice, but mostly people who are doing what often gets called gatekeeping. They are basically saying, don't do it. Have you thought of this? If you don't have a plan to sell, don't start an MSP. And it can come across as very negative. And a big part of it is this concept of abdication versus delegation. See, here's the thing that happens. It's super easy to start a small business in North America. And I assume, although I cannot prove because I haven't done it myself, that it's also pretty darn easy to start a business in a lot of other countries. And therein lies the problem. A lot of folks who are good at doing a task and recognize someone will pay them to do the task, have that light bulb moment where they say, hey, I could get paid directly to do that task. I'm going to start a business. And the thing is, if all you're going to do is squeeze a few lemons on the side of the street, that's it. You did it. I'm proud of you. And that's pretty much all you need to be able to do. But at a certain point, you realize that you probably want to do more than that. And that's where all of the stuff that comes into running a business hits you. And that's where you see a lot of that gatekeeping. Because what a lot of us have learned, having done this for a while, is that, well, shit, I don't know how to do half the other things I need to know how to do to run this business. I kind of wish I could just abdicate. I wish there was a magic business weight loss pill that I could just take, and now whatever this area of my business is would just be fixed. And the thing is, that's not how it works. And a lot of us kind of know that deep down, viscerally in our guts. So when we hear some young, fresh, beautiful, at least young to the industry person with, wide eyes, just dreaming about starting their new business, the first thing I think we all want to rush over there and tell them is, hey, you got to be careful. This is harder than it looks. And unfortunately, that comes off as gatekeeping. I say all of this just because I think it's important to remember one of the things that Megan was saying in her video is why? Why does this happen? Why does she get asked to basically take over and be in charge of an element of a business that fundamentally she should not be the visionary in charge of? It's the same thing that I would say at my day job at Helped, that why do people hire Helped and then look at us and assume that we're just going to take over the entirety of their help desk and that we have a plan to run their help desk? And my guess would be that a lot of other vendors probably run into something similar with their clients as well. And I think a lot of this comes from really the fact that most small business owners have a dream. They don't plan out exactly how they're going to execute that dream. Everybody reaches their own Peter Principle point where they've reached the ceiling of their cognitive capacity to process more tasks at the same level of competency. And there's two things you can do in that moment. You can recognize that this is going to be a lot of work and you're going to have to really dedicate a lot of time and effort to either improving yourself or slowly building up the resources to bring on an internal person, or you can go out and look for a solution. And we're tool people. We're solution people by nature. And so we go out and we look for a solution. And ultimately, I think the only way that's not going to change. And so I think the only way that us people on the vending side aren't going to encounter this so much anymore is if we find a way to not sign up those people. And I just don't see how that's ever going to be a real possibility. So here we are, here we sit with people who should be delegating that are abdicating. All you can do is raise awareness, try and caution your clients and vendor friends when they are signing up that, hey, they own the client relationship, not you. They own their business, not you. Whatever process you're going to be doing for them, that's their process, not your process. There was a piece of language that I used to really love that I learned a long time ago from Rex Frank, around how you communicate this is kind of old school MSPing, how you communicate the RPO and RTO, the recovery point objective, recovery time objective, with backups. And I like talking about backups a lot in my videos because managed backups alongside managed copiers is how this entire industry got started. So it's sort of our staple food item. And in managed backups, one of the things you have to make sure that you do is you make sure the client understands that the data that's being backed up is never, ever, ever your responsibility. It's not your data. It's the client's data. You're in charge of protecting that data and making sure that that data gets backed up on whatever schedule that's agreed to. But defining what data gets backed up, defining that schedule, that's all the client. It's their job to do that. I've given the example before that we are all, as vendors, rented shepherds. Same thing with MSPs. You are a for-hired shepherd. They're not your sheep. And you have to be clear about that from the beginning of the relationship. You will take care of these sheep. You may be willing to die for these sheep. You might take the best care of these sheep and love them as if they were your sheep, but they're not your sheep. That has to be clear at the beginning of the relationship. And any client who isn't willing to accept that dynamic and doesn't understand it probably is abdicating on some level. And you have to make that assessment if it's worth it to you. I hope you all have a great Tuesday. MSP business owners, try not to abdicate parts of your business. I say try because you're going to anyways, and I get it. Not everybody's good at everything, and it's just easier. Right now, if I could take something that would help me lose weight, get right to where I wanted to get, and was healthy and had no side effects, I'd be the first one to take it. Like, I get the idea. We want an easy, magical solution, but unfortunately, I've had to cut back on carbs. Thank you, Danny from OIT. Danny challenged me at MSP GeekCon to have less carbs. It's been a struggle, but I've been working on it. You got to put in that work, right? Same thing with your business. Have an awesome Tuesday.